Hi, this is Vicky, also known as DragonflySoars. It's Wednesday, March 18th, and a little after 6:30 in the evening. We're a day late, we're late in the day, but my son had an extra big homework assignment, and normally we were planning on working on it on Monday, and then I was going to record yesterday. But Monday ended up being a crazy day because the furnace was coming. Last week I told you that my furnace had died and that I was getting a new one. Well, that was scheduled for Monday. As you see, Tigger's here, and you may hear Missy because she's been squawking at me. And he's meowing at me. And they have food and attention and loveys, and I don't know what their issue is. Anyway, furnace came on Monday, but also, Saturday, I was in a minor fender bender in the parking lot at Panera. A guy backed up into me. I think because of the way the sun was, that he just honestly didn't see me. But he didn't, it wasn't like he was coming with any speed, and I was actually stopped. So, it just crunched the front driver's side part of my bumper, fender, headlight. So that's actually in the shop right now. And so I called the insurance. He called his insurance. He actually reported the exact same thing I did and said it was his fault. So there was no issue there. But it's in the shop. But I couldn't take it to the shop until late on Monday because the furnace was coming. So by the time I could get the car to the shop, and Enterprise Rental came and picked me up and got me set up with a rental car, I told my son, I'm like, I really, really don't want to do homework. And he said that was fine. So we did homework yesterday instead. And he had a fairly large assignment. He had to do an essay on an author. Well, I helped him think of an author that he liked, which at least got him a little more interested. And then he was trying to figure out how to do research, and I said, well, if you were meeting this person, what kinds of things would you like to know? So he started talking about the different kinds of things he would want to know, and so we started using that as subtopics, and he researched on those and actually found out more information. So he has an outline all done. Now he just has to write the paper, and that actually won't take him, that shouldn't take him too long. Hi. So, and that is why I'm recording on Wednesday. And I do have stuff to show you. I have been making progress on things. First of all, on Friday night, I was at best friend's house that night. Tigger. Cat hair. Friday night, I was at best friend's house. Because our initial plan was to leave fairly early on Saturday to go to see my mom and my son. Well, actually, my son had a show on Saturday, and so he was actually going to be gone most of the day, but we were going to go see Mom and do some stuff around the house for her, except for best friend's home telephone broke, and he needed that fixed because it's his business line, and which is one of the reasons I was out on Saturday morning, because I was picking us up breakfast. But anyway, it was a lot of stuff. Friday, I was there, and so I seamed one seam on the blanket. And it doesn't matter what I do, how I try, whether I'm fully concentrating or watching TV, whatever, it takes 3 hours to do one seam. And I just have decided that I just need to get used to this. So, there are 2 seams left to do, but I will post a picture, an update, to show you that yes, I really am working on it. Alright, so now you can see I have a set of 3 connected, a set of 2, and another set of 3. So I have 2 more seams to do. Hopefully, I would anticipate I'll get 1 done this weekend, but I'm not positive. We haven't totally figured out what we're doing this weekend. But I can't see why I wouldn't get 1 done. Normally, I would be going to his house on Friday night, except for I'm expecting the car to be fixed. And so it kind of depends on how things all go. And I'm going to a conference on Friday. So I don't know. Anyway, I would think that I should get at least 1 more seam done this weekend. Now, the next thing I'm working on is in this bag. I just started it. I told you last week that I was going to be starting a secret project for my Knitopia swap. And it is in this bag. I can tell you that it is Tunisian crochet. I got my Tunisian crochet hook, which I needed because it's got some length to it. So I'm going to actually pause here, record a snippet about this, and then save it so that when I'm all done, you guys will kind of have a live update instead of one big thing at the end that's after the fact. So I'm pausing. Right, so I just recorded that little snippet. I am not going to share it with you. What I'm going to do is as long as I'm working on this, I will keep recording a little snippet when I do the regular podcast. And then once it is gifted, I will take all those snippets and pictures and add it to a podcast after Knitopia. And I decided to do that because every now and then somebody will have a project that you know they're working on, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I can show it now, but you're seeing the completed thing, not how it happened along the way. So, that was it for that one. I also did start my Sophie's Journey since I told you that I was going to get the yarn from Mom this past weekend. Well, I did, and I started it Sunday. And Sunday I finished, they are on part 10. I did part 1 on Sunday, and now when it was originally released, they actually released part 1 and part 2 together, I believe. Anyway, I did part 1 on Sunday, and then I did, because I finished all my squares for my other one. But I did part 1 on Sunday, I'm rambling, and part 2 mostly on Monday when I decided I wasn't doing homework with my son. And then I finished it up yesterday, part 2 up yesterday during homework, because I wanted to get it done while there was still light outside so I could take a picture of part 2 completed. So the last 2 rounds are the brown. I finished them during homework. And I frequently am working on a project during homework. He's frequently playing video games while we're doing homework because he plays more mindless video games. It helps him process. And I figure that since I need something in my hands to process, I'm not going to question it. But anyway, this is part 1 and part 2. Now, one of the things she said is that when you finish part 1, and part 1 was the dark brown circle, that's where it stopped, and then the purple starts part 2. When you know the width of that, you can multiply it by 10, and that should be about how big your finished item will be. Well, for me, that was 8 inches, so it should be about 80 inches square when it's all complete. Now, I know some people have stopped at parts, even though we still have a lot to go. They've actually stopped and said, it's a baby blanket size, I'm done. Because every single one of her parts is gorgeous. You could pretty much stop at any one of them. I could stop right now and say, this is a gorgeous tabletop cover for, a side table or something. It is just beautiful. Now, I have a bunch of ends on the other side. I actually have woven in most of them. I just haven't trimmed them. I need to go through and figure out which ones are actually woven and which ones are just sort of hanging there. But anyway, I'm going to show, you can see how big it is. I think it's about 13 inches. I laid it on top of a 12-inch blocking square and it was hanging over the edge, so I'm like, about 13 inches. I haven't measured it. But let me post 2 pictures of part 1 and part 2. So, like I said, they just got part 10, and I feel no guilt in showing this one because I am so far behind. It is not like I'm ruining the mystery for anyone. In order to sort of plan for my colors. Now, when we bought yarn, I bought 6 balls of this dark blue because I want that to eventually be the main color in here. And then 2 balls of this blue and 1 ball of everything else. I told him I was recording so that he wouldn't text. Anyway, so I have planned out through, I don't remember which clue. I think maybe just the next one, maybe just part 3. I planned out in PowerPoint how I wanted to do the colors. So I have a plan, and partially because I need to visualize. So for me, drawing and playing with it really helped me decide what I wanted to do for color placement. So that's that. Did I already show you the pictures? I think I already paused for the pictures. All right. Next item up. The mystery crochet along. Now, like always, I'm going to show you and talk to you about the clue that came out last week, and then I will show you the clue that came out this week, but not talk about it so people can look away if they want. So, right now, last week's clue was clue 5. And in clue 5, we added these 5 petal-looking things. Now, I will tell you right now, there are all sorts of comments about this. Some people have it standing up, like that. Some people have it, some people have been considering drawing it into the middle. Some people have it open like I did, so it sort of looks like petals. I don't mind the way it looks. Several people do not like it and are talking about removing it. I think a lot of it has to do with individual color choices. They didn't really explain, well, because it's a mystery and you were allowed to pick your own colors, it's hard to say what's going to work. And some people have like brown in the middle and they're like, well, I don't like it. It looks like a pile of, whatever. Although some of them I'm like, I think it looks really pretty, but whatever. So that's that one. This is for the other Afghan. So one of the things I did after I finished these is I laid them all out. And I looked at it and went, wow, that's going to be really small. And the original squares they had posted, the base was supposed to be 4 inches. Then they increased it to 5 inches. But I had already done the squares. I had already done all of the ones for this Afghan I had not started these yet, but when I did start these, I made them the same size because I figured I want the 2 Afghans to be the same. And I didn't want to be changing hooks. So I started the squares, and mine were 4 inches. Well, of course, that means my gauge was always smaller. Now they were saying at about this size, they're supposed to be 9 inches. Mine are not 9 inches. Mine are about 6.5 inches, which means they're 2.5 inches shorter. And blocking may add some, but it's not going to add a lot. And frankly, acrylic doesn't block and stretch and stay super well, at least with just water. And I'm probably not going to steam block them. In fact, no, there's no probably. I am not going to steam block them. And so I laid them out, and then I was just playing around and went, well, if we need to make it bigger, I could match these up because of the fact that I used complementary colors. 2 of the colors in here match 2 of the colors in here, so they go together. And I talked to best friend, and he looked at it and he said, I think you're going to have to merge them. So I'm going to show you pictures now of these finished clues, plus when I laid them out individually and then when I played around and merged them together. Alright, so at that point I made a comment that once we know that the squares aren't going to get any bigger, basically when we start joining them, I will make a decision on whether to combine them. Well, while I don't want to show you the next clue in full, I will say we started joining them. So I am merging my 2 Afghans together. So I am now going to show you what it says. It's clue 6 and 7. It's actually just 2 weeks to do the clue. I don't know why they called it clue 6 and 7, because it's very clearly only one thing. But they gave 2 weeks because they said they thought it would take longer. So if you don't want to see the clue 6 and 7, look away. You can obviously see that I am joining them, as I just said. So I'm also now going to post a picture of close-up. So if you don't want to be spoiled, keep looking away. All right, you can look back now. The one thing I will say about this clue is one of the key things is to start out by making little balls. I actually discovered by accident, and then several other people discovered, that there is a way to do it without making the little balls. If you want to know that, ask me about it, or I will explain it next week. So, I think that is it for projects. I did not work on the twitchy socks because I didn't do anything. Well, I could have done it during my son's show, but honestly, I was just having a good time at the show. I didn't even get twitchy. So, okay. I did have something. Before I get into what do you want me to share, I didn't realize until it popped up on my calendar that my podiversary was actually last week. So, I think it was on the 11th. I don't know where it went. It was on my calendar because it popped up on me. Would you stay down? Ah, there it is. It's because I put it on the birthday calendar and I don't show that one. So on the 12th was my podiversary. And I believe it's been 4 years now. For a while there was like a whole bunch of us that all started at once. And the ones I know that are still going are myself, Dramatic Knits, and 90% Knitting. I think there were some other ones, but those ones I know we were all like right there within the same time span. And so I did want to draw for a prize. Now, amongst the people that are registered on the Ravelry group. Now, there are just over 300 people on the Ravelry group. But I get way more, according to all the statistics that I can see, there are way more downloads and people watching than there are people on the Ravelry group. So, if you want to be considered for prizes and things, or you just want me to know that you're watching, join the Ravelry group, because you must be out there. But, alright, before we started, I downloaded the most recent member list as of 6:30 today. And so there's 308 people. I'm number 1 because I started the group. So 2 through 308, I'm going to draw 3 numbers, and those people, if they contact me, will win a Ravelry pattern of $10 or less. 1 pattern. And yeah, if you don't contact me because you didn't watch, I'm not going to chase you. Whereas the ones where people are participating in the threads and the what are you knitting, that one I usually will try and find you. But this one, because it's about the Podiversary and about the membership, I am not going to contact people. So I'm going to say generate simultaneously 3 numbers. And the numbers are 224, 252, and 89. So I said this first one was 224, I believe. 224 is Annie Mouse. A-N-N-I-E Mouse. Annie Mouse. 252 is Crow Julie. Well, I know she watches. She participates all the time. And 89 is Mippy Fufalina, who is Sabrina. And I'm pretty sure she watches on a regular basis. So, Mippy Fufalina, Crow Julie, and Annie Mouse, you guys have won a single pattern of $10 or less. Just on a spur of the moment, we hit 4 years, 300 members. Let's draw something. Alright, now, what do you want to share? What do you want me to share? The one I'm going to do today comes from Polly, who did the Polly Knits podcast. So he is Polly81. And he keeps getting put off because other stuff was coming up. So, and I've also been struggling a little bit with this one. I keep thinking about it. I would like to hear about your oldest work in progress. Or do you stay motivated and finish your projects? One of my goals is to work on old whips or possibly rip a few out. My oldest work in progress, meaning something I'm actually still care about, would be the Afghan that I am seaming. There are other things lingering around that are in progress. They're on needles. I'm not actively working on them. I'm very much an out of sight, out of mind person, and if for some reason I get tired of a project, I set it aside, I put it somewhere, and it disappears, and eventually I get irritated with the fact that it's showing in my Ravelry queue, and I mark it as hibernating, and it goes shoop to the bottom of the project list, and I never have to see it again. It's rare that I rip something out completely. Last year, some friends were having a child, and I thought, oh, I started this monkey that has been in my hibernating status forever. And I had started it when I bought the condo, because I was actually working on it. I would pack a bunch of stuff, and then I would stop and I'd work on the monkey because it was something to do. And I found it, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. There was no way, given my current skill, that I could give them this monkey. So I ended up getting rid of it. I think I trashed it. Anyway, it was bad. But sometimes I look at my works in progress, or they're actually unfinished objects, because they're around, but I'm not working on them. And some of them I go, yeah, someday I'll get back to that. I have a I have a colorwork purse that I started, and I really like the way the colorwork came out. It came out beautiful. It was a Knit Picks pattern. I stopped because I never sewed the fabric inside the bag or finished attaching the handles or anything useful like that. So it is currently an unblocked bag. All it needs is the insides, but I just kind of like I said, I stopped. I even bought cool fabric for it. I have another thing that is the Kids Silk Haze scarf shawl that was made out of mitered squares. At the time, I was thinking that I would, well, it's all in garter stitch, and it was fine, but I was really struggling to weave in all the ends. Don't eat my glasses! My glasses are hanging here, and he's eating them off the bottom because I'm ignoring him. I'm petting him, but apparently that's not enough. I was weaving the ends as I go through the, knitting and twisting it around while I went. But I thought I also needed to double stitch back and weave the ends through again. And I was really worried. Well, it's Kids Silk Haze. That stuff isn't going to come apart no matter what. So I was doing way too much effort on weaving in all the ends that probably didn't need to be done, and it probably would be a lot less aggravating these days. And sometimes I think that I'll get back to it. I still think it's really pretty. So both of those are ones that in the back of my mind, I still think I'm eventually going to finish them. I have a double knit scarf that I started because I really wanted to learn how to do double knitting, where you have an image on one side and you have the reverse image on the other side because you're actually making two pieces of fabric at once. Well, I got about this far, decided that double knitting takes a really long time. This is a really hot scarf. I'm never going to wear it. And I stopped. But I have a ton of yarn left over. And so it sits on my project page. Every now and then I think I should just double the size, sew it together, and call it a throw pillow. But I haven't done that either. But I already put so much work into this much that I haven't wanted to get rid of it. So there's also random socks around where I did one sock or I did part of a sock. I have one sock that I started and I was going to do a tutorial way back, and then I decided, and so I stopped knitting because I was going to record the tutorial. Then I decided it was too similar to somebody else's tutorial. And then I was irritated with it, so I stuck it in a drawer. I have another one that I started, but I realized after I finished, I had done toe up and gotten to the heel flap, and it's way too tight. And I didn't want to undo it, so it's sitting in a drawer. So, how do I stay motivated? I don't. If I don't like it, I hide it. I will say having the podcast does help motivate me because people are, ask, how's that going? And there are things that you will notice just disappear. I was working on a knit swirl sweater last year because it was part of Knitopia. And this year, Sandy asked me how it was going. And I said, yeah, that's not getting done. And she's like, oh no. And I'm like, you know what? It's not that I don't like it. And it's not that I'll never finish it. There's just other things that are holding my interest a whole lot more than that. And I thought about doing it this winter, but now, it was 70 degrees the other day. And it's a little cooler now, but it's not heavy sweater weather. So, do I have any incentive to finish it? No. So, right now, the thing I would call my oldest work in progress, meaning I'm still touching it, would be the Rowan Afghan. And that's just the way it is. And I'm not sure, Paul, if that really answered your question, or maybe it makes you feel better that it's okay to just stop. So that was it. I did finish a book this week. To totally flip subjects, I finished a book this week called The Dead Key. I'll link it in the show notes. It'll be an Amazon link. I don't talk about it often, but anytime I put the word Amazon, it means it's an Amazon affiliate link. But it was I think it was a free Kindle book because I think it was a free preview for Prime members. I can't think why else I would have gotten it, but it was good. It had a lot of promise, and then it didn't end as well as I was hoping. It was about this. It had two timelines. One was from 1998, and one was from 1978. And you're kind of seeing this mystery from both the historical perspective and the what was supposed to be the now perspective. And I think part of what bugged me is 1998 still feels really old. I mean, hell, my son was 2 in 1998. And now he's an adult, technically. And but it was good going back and forth, and the mystery was really building up, and then it just kind of, I was like, I didn't really care about the characters anymore. And the ones I did sort of care about, it just left them hanging. I don't know where they went by the end of the book. And I really wanted to like it. I was liking it, and then poof. And I haven't decided what to read next. I'm still, in theory, reading Jefferson versus Hamilton, but I have found that I do better if I listen and read it at the same time, because it's historical. And it's a technique I use with my son, where he's reading the words while listening to something, either through Audible or through my reading, which has really helped build up his comprehension. It's actually something his school uses with a lot of kids. And this is one that really, it helps me process. But there's not a lot of time that I can be reading a book and listening to it at the same time and not doing anything else. Because usually if I'm listening, I'm walking. Sorry, he's starting to shed. And he's just, poof. If I'm just listening, I'm usually walking. And these days I'm usually walking with somebody. Or if I'm reading in bed, I very rarely am going to read and listen. So I have to figure out when to have time for that, because it's an interesting book. But I'm trying to figure out what book I want to read next. And nothing's really caught me yet. So that is everything. I will talk to you guys all next time. I will, of course, build this tonight, upload it tomorrow, like usual. And hopefully see you Monday or Tuesday next week. Down. Yeah. I'm sorry, the kitty hair is really, really bothering me. I will talk to you guys all next time. Bye now.